Now on Channel 5 and My 5, all the very latest from Catherine and the team. It's 5 News at 5.
Tonight on 5 News, a man is jailed for more than 17 years for dangerous driving. Zach Blades was just 8 months old when he and his aunt were killed by a drunk, speeding driver who was using his phone just seconds before the crash.
And no one should have to go through what we've gone through, and if we can stop that next person, make them think twice.
Also on the show, Parliament is packed with new MPs, why this Scottish jail is letting prisoners go early, and the water company causing a stink. Plus, diamonds are forever, and Dame Shirley Bassey tells us about her priceless honour from the King.
From across the UK, this is 5 News.
Hello. Our top story tonight is unimaginably horrific. This is 8-month-old Zach Blades, who was killed when a drunk driver hit the car he was in. He was travelling with his mum, who survived, and his aunt, who didn't. Zach was thrown from the car, leaving his mum frantically searching for him. The driver, Daryl Anderson, was sentenced to 17 years in prison for the deaths. Today we heard he was 3 times the drink drive limit and going at more than 140 miles per hour. Peter Lane was in court. He sent this report, which I should say is upsetting.
Zach Blades was described in court as beautiful, cherished and full of laughter. He was killed alongside his aunt, Carleen Warner. The only survivor from their car, Zach's mum, who ran across the motorway searching for him.
The car was just completely crushed, it was just a mess. I came back round, I called 999, and straight away I said I can't find my baby, help, I can't find him. Jumped over the wall and ran over, and there was Zach lying on the side of the road. He was laying there he's so beautiful. It's the first thing I thought.
I've just got back off holiday.
Have you had anything to drink?
Pardon?
Have you had anything alcoholic drink?
I had a little bit to drink on plane. Yeah.
Arrested at the scene, Daryl Anderson was 3 times the breath test limit. An empty bottle of vodka was in his car, and seconds before the crash, he took a photo of his dashboard showing him speeding at 141 miles an hour. The judge said he'd played Russian roulette with the lives of other road users. The family called him a vile man driving a killing machine.
He decided to drink. He decided to put his foot down on the car to do 140 miles an hour. He decided to take a picture of that.
Carleen Warner, who had a partner and young daughter, had only just qualified to start her dream job as a flight attendant. Her family told the court all they have now are photos and memories.
No words can describe how you feel, but it's in the heart.
Yeah, No.
And we're never going to see her again.
Footage shows Daryl Anderson leaving Newcastle Airport and heading towards the motorway that night. This is all that was left of his own vehicle, which he did initially admit driving.
I drove into the back of another car, yeah? Now, sometimes mistakes happen. But I'm not a bad person.
But at one point he pretended a hitchhiker drove the car, caused the crash and fled the scene.
There's a guy at the side flagging the journey, a hitchhiker. He says, "Oh, can I have a lift, please?" So I've jumped in passenger, he's in driving seat, and we've set off. I think he went wrong way to start with, and then I've just fell asleep. I've woke up with my crashing.
Hugs at court after Anderson was jailed for 17 years and banned from driving for 21, but the family wanted more.
He should never get in a car again and drive, and no one should have to go through what we've gone through, and if we can stop that next person, make them think twice, then we've done some good.
Zach's mum told the court the crash has left her living a nightmare. This photo shows Zach with his aunt Carleen. The judge said no prison sentence will ever reflect their lives or their loss. Peter Lane, 5 News, Durham.
In other news, a body has been found in the search for a teenager who went missing while swimming in the River Mersey. Daniel Halliday, who was 14, had been jumping waves with his brother when he was lost in a strong current on Crosby Beach. It happened 9 days ago. His family described him as a loving son. A damning report has found a toxic culture at the Nursing and Midwifery Council, which is threatening public safety. The regulator has a huge backlog of cases, with some investigations taking 4 or 5 years. In one case, it took 7 years to strike off a nurse accused of rape and sexual assault. The NMC chairman has apologised. And the DJ Steve Wright's death certificate has shown that he died from a ruptured stomach ulcer. He was 69 when he died at a flat in Marylebone in London in February. As a veteran broadcaster, he was one of the most familiar voices on the airwaves. No inquest will be held into his death. Next, it was a rather different-looking House of Commons that sat for the first time in Westminster today. Hundreds of Labour MPs, old and new, filled the government benches for the first time in 14 years, with Keir Starmer at the front. And there were more Lib Dems and Greens than ever before. It was a first too for reform, as the new party took 5 seats. Our political editor, Andy Bell, has been taking it all in.
They're not supposed to do this. The massed ranks of more than 400 Labour MPs applauding and cheering their leader, the new Prime Minister. There are so many of them, they can't fit on their side of the House. Meanwhile, on the opposition benches, they can only sit. Fewer Conservatives and SNP, more Liberal Democrats, Greens, Reform and Independents. Once he'd been re-elected, dragged to his chair, according to the tradition, the Speaker said something he'd never said before.
I now call the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer.
He's moved just a small step from his old place, but now he speaks with the authority of his new position.
We all have a duty to show that politics can be a force for good. So whatever our political differences, it's now time to turn the page, unite in a common endeavour of national renewal, and make this new Parliament a Parliament of service. Thank you.
Across from him, someone else in a new job, leader of the opposition, with a message for his own side.
And for those of us in my party, let me begin with a message to those who are no longer sitting behind me. I am sorry. We have lost too many diligent, community-spirited representatives whose wisdom and expertise will be missed in the debates and discussions ahead.
Diane Abbott is the longest-serving female MP, the mother of the House, here acknowledged in the House of Lords. The Labour leadership wanted her to retire, but she's back with a point to make.
That when I was a new member in 1987, there were only 40 female members of Parliament. Today we have 264.
Among the more than 300 new MPs arriving here today, 5 from Reform UK, one of them who's made it on his 8th attempt. So what does he make of it?
This is a very unusual Parliament. Labour's majority is so massive that actually the old-fashioned battles over legislation are almost irrelevant. But what this Parliament will be is about ideas.
It's a new House of Commons, but we'll have to see what, if anything, has really changed.
And Andy's in Central Lobby in the Houses of Parliament for us now. And Andy, the new Prime Minister is off for his first international summit, isn't he?
That's right, Keir Starmer off this evening to a big NATO summit in Washington. It's the first time he'll meet President Biden. He'll also be meeting other world leaders. He will be making the point that under him, Britain will remain strong on defence, strong on NATO, strong in the defence of Ukraine, and other world leaders will be looking to meet this man who is now the new kid on the block.
And the Health Secretary's also been meeting with junior doctors today about their ongoing pay dispute.
That's right. We're streeting face-to-face meeting with members of the BMA representing the junior doctors, and both sides have come out with some good mood music. The doctors' side said it was a positive first step. Wes Streeting said he felt optimistic. Now, he has made it plain throughout the election campaign the government's not going to meet the 35% that the junior doctors have been demanding for what they see as pay restoration. But this does seem to be a good change of atmosphere in these talks from the previous government. And perhaps most importantly, junior doctors making it plain there are no plans for future strikes right now.
Andy, thank you very much. Well, as we heard from Andy, world leaders, including Keir Starmer, will be meeting at the NATO summit over the next few days, and Ukraine will be top of the agenda. Rescue teams there worked through the night to save people trapped after huge Russian airstrikes yesterday. It's one of the deadliest attacks of the war and included a hit on a children's hospital. Natalia Hoquera reports.
A sanctuary for the sick became this scene of destruction. Recovery work at the Kyiv Children's Hospital continues. It was one of the multiple buildings struck by Russian missiles on Monday. 42 people across the country were killed. Here, many of those caught up in the devastation were cancer patients. A doctor and a specialist lost their lives.
Our hospital is the biggest hospital in Ukraine. We have 720 beds. And in a time when was attack, in hospital was around 675 patients.
Monday's attacks mark the heaviest bombardment in nearly 4 months, sparking international outrage.
This terrible attack shows that nowhere is safe in Ukraine. Yesterday's massive attack across the country involved at least 38 different cruise missiles and ballistic rockets of various types, as well as drones, in multiple waves throughout the day.
Meanwhile, in Moscow, whilst President Putin welcomed a visit from India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the Kremlin denied targeting civilian sites. But today, in a sit-down with Putin, Mr. Modi made this pointed remark.
When innocent children are killed, when we see innocent children dying, then the heart pains, and that pain is very horrible.
World leaders are gathering in Washington today for a 3-day NATO summit. The war in Ukraine will be high on the agenda. But Russia's assault on the eve of the meeting seems to signal the Kremlin's intention to Western leaders. Natalia Hoquera, 5 News.
A prison governor says releasing inmates early in Scotland is only short-term relief for them. More than 500 are being let out on licence earlier than planned, and now the government wants to extend that to long-term prisoners too. This is a problem that affects England and Wales as well, and they're already operating a similar policy. Well, Alan Jenkins is outside a prison in Glasgow for us now. Alan, is it particularly bad in Scotland?
It is a major issue here. To give you a sense of the scale of the problem, this behind me is Barlinnie, Scotland's largest prison. It's meant to house around 1,000 prisoners. It has 1,300 inside, and that's why this scheme to release prisoners has been brought in at here and other jails across the country.
Prisons under pressure, overcrowding pushing some close to breaking point.
We do the best we can, but we run out of space.
Behind bars at HMP Perth, Scotland's oldest prison, there's been a struggle to accommodate. Now, with some released up to 6 months early, the situation has eased, but only slightly.
It's giving us breathing space. It's short-term relief, but it has given us some breathing space. Our numbers were up at 705 actually. Our design capacity is 631. It's not just about bed space, it's about the population types. It's about having to double 2 adult men up in one room.
The Scottish Government's early release scheme is only for prisoners serving sentences less than 4 years who have 180 days or less left to go in jail. Prisoners who've been given a life sentence or those who are doing time for sexual offences or domestic abuse are automatically excluded from early release. And if a prisoner is deemed to be a risk to a specific individual or group, then prison governors do have the power of veto to stop them being released. Victims of crime have to register to be notified when their offender is released, but one charity told us the government hasn't done enough to inform people what's happening.
A lot of people who are not aware
we think, and they are potentially going to bump into the prisoner in their case without realising that they were up for emergency early release and totally unexpectedly, and we know that that's really traumatising for people. So if anybody is at all concerned about this and they're not sure whether or not the prisoner in their case is going to be released, please come forward.
The current scheme is seeing around 500 short-term prisoners released, but ones with a much longer sentence could be out years early too. Scotland's Justice Secretary says that would be a long-term solution to packed-out prisons, with some out after serving 2/3 of a sentence, with some exclusions.
That's long-term prisoners who are serving a determinate sentence, again, people who would at some point return to the community. And it's consulting on changing the balance between time spent in custody and time spent on licence in the community.
She says we can't build more jails as a way out of this critical situation, as they try to find a balance between risk and rehabilitation, public safety and prison cells.
And Alan, what about the impact on the prisoners who are being released early? Will they be supported afterwards?
Yeah, that's a really important point, and it's one that some charities have raised some concern about. One in particular, called Cisco, which helps men and women coming out of prisons like this one in Glasgow, has called this scheme a shambolic solution to a shambolic problem. It points out, that charity, that it doesn't have the resources to help the 500 odd people coming out of prisons like this. It says there's no real resources, there's no real funding for this scheme in terms of what happens when people come out. And they point out the major issue will be when it comes to accommodation. There's already a housing emergency in Scotland. You have 500 people coming out trying to find homes. Some of them may end up in hostels or worse on the streets, and the real concern is that those people will end up slipping back into crime.
Alan, thank you very much. Well, time for a break now, but there's plenty more to come. They're Britain's biggest water firm, so why is there a warning that they're running out of cash? And
everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
And after that excruciating debate, why the White House insists President Biden isn't going anywhere. All that plus Claire's got the forecast.
Hello there, good evening. Watch out for heavy rain across central and eastern northern parts of Scotland tonight, and also thunderstorms rumbling on across northern England. I can promise you a little sunshine in the south, though, tomorrow. See you in a while.
Well, thanks, Claire. We'll see you after the break.
Rebel in the comfort of a home. IKEA, the wonderful everyday.
Foot odor can be strong. Odor eaters are stronger. Odor eaters, shoes off confidence.
Switch to a SIM-only deal from your 24-month contract and you could save £321. Now that's worth celebrating. Visit uswitch.com.
Playing bingo at Tombola is about being part of our community and having fun. And to keep it fun, most of our players use our safe play tools to set their limits and stay in control.
I've got a weekly deposit limit just so I can keep within my own budget.
The app and the site just gives you so much support, like your limits and everything. Keep it fun, chat with friends, and play safely at Tombola.
Experience coconut goodness with Palmer's coconut oil formula for hair. It's made with ethically sourced coconut oil for beautiful looking hair. Palmer's.
Which would you choose? This refurbished Acer Chromebook or this one from Woucher? Woucher. Save now. Live wow.
At Wiltshire Farm Foods, we love nothing more than bringing sunshine to your door. With free delivery from your local friendly driver and no contract or commitment, we'll even put it in the freezer for you.
Now that's good old-fashioned service.
And most of our meals can be cooked in the microwave, keeping those energy bills down, helping you save for the things that really matter. With delicious meals from just $2.99. To get a free brochure, give us a call or go online. And let Wiltshire Farm Foods bring sunshine to your door.
Club
Card accepted.
Smile, though your heart is aching. You
Recognise this smile?
is still worth.
Let us help with targeted anti-inflammatory muscle and joint pain relief. Voltarol, the joy of movement.
With generative AI on AWS, companies are already transforming how they work to generate new ideas and turn experiments into reality. AWS has innovative tools and services, so you can quickly build and scale generative AI with security built in. With generative AI on AWS, businesses can push the boundaries of innovation.
You're in the hot seat now for some real serious offences.
When criminals strike,
Money now.
it's a race against time to corner the suspect.
That's him, innit?
And crack the case.
Did you cut the knife to his throat? Absolutely not.
Police, Suspect Number 1, starts Monday at 9 on Channel 5 and My 5.
Welcome back. Thames Water, Britain's biggest water company, has revealed it paid out more than £150 million to its shareholders last year. That's despite the company being £15 billion in debt and more sewage spills. Well, Tessa Chapman is in Buckinghamshire for us tonight. Tessa, this affects an awful lot of people, doesn't it?
Hi, Catherine. Yes, Thames Water is responsible for providing clean drinking water and sewage treatment for 16 million customers across London and the Thames Valley. They are having a torrid time financially, and they're at the heart of pollution scandals too, including here in Chalfont St Giles, where I've spent the day, and you can see and smell why locals are angry.
This award-winning village usually entices visitors, but right now people are staying away. Thames Water has been discharging sewage into the nearby river, and the stench has reached the high street. Salon owner Carly is losing business.
People are coming into the salon putting their clothes over their mouths almost, and they come in because the smell outside is just disgusting. And yeah, we've got these tiny, you can probably see these tiny flies that are biting people as well. People keep commenting on that, but yeah, it's full of flies. It's sewage, it's disgusting.
Worried about contamination, the parish council has taken action.
The samples were off the scale, quite frankly, in its level of pollution. We decided to close this area.
So you've closed?
Yeah, so the river walk is all closed. You can't get to this anywhere down there. We've closed the playground behind you, so we can't have any children playing in it.
Thames Water says record rainfall has caused water to enter the sewers and filled storm tanks. They're sorry, but they've had to release the wastewater, adding, as climate change impacts our infrastructure and demand on it increases, more investment is needed across the entire sector. But the company, in hot water too over pollution at the Henley Regatta, is drowning in debt of £15 billion, today revealing they only have enough money to fund operations until May. And they paid dividends of £158 million to two holding companies in financial trouble.
I've been reliably informed that 100 million would solve the problem of the whole of this valley end to end. That would be one problem in a whole country full of problems, I know, but they really shouldn't be giving dividends and payouts to anybody.
You feel let down?
Oh, absolutely, from top to bottom.
The new government told 5 News they'll outline steps to reform the water sector over the coming weeks. Chalfont St Giles is just one example of why it matters.
And Tessa, Thames Water's not the only water company that needs more money and is hoping to raise bills to do so.
Yeah, that's right. Every water company is struggling with outdated infrastructure, and Thursday is a really important date because the 16 water companies in England and Wales have asked the regulator Ofwat for permission to increase their bills from anything from 24 to 91%. Let's take Thames Water. They have asked to raise their bills by 44% to fund £22 billion of investment over the next 5 years. Thursday, Ofwat will release its draft decision before the final conclusion in December. So it's going to be really interesting to see what they decide, interesting to see how consumers react, and also to see what the new government makes of it all.
Tessa, thank you very much. Dyson is planning to lose around 1,000 jobs in the UK as part of a major restructure. That's more than a quarter of their workforce here. The vacuum cleaner manufacturer, based in Wiltshire, has offices in London and Bristol. Their CEO said the move is part of preparing for the future. An immigration detention centre has been deemed the worst in England after an inspection found violence and widespread drug use. The Chief Inspector of Prisons says Harmondsworth near Heathrow was chaos and there had been several serious suicide attempts there. The Home Office said it's since increased the numbers of staff and officers. And bank transfers made by influencer Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan were entirely orthodox, their lawyer has told a court. Devon and Cornwall Police are bringing a civil claim against them and a third unnamed person for alleged unpaid tax. The force want £2.8 million to be forfeited. Next, Joe Biden's doctor says he has no symptoms of Parkinson's disease after reports a specialist has visited him several times. A medical letter has been released to try and prove the president's health is okay after what seemed like a concerning performance in a TV debate with Donald Trump. Now he has another chance to prove himself as he hosts the NATO summit in Washington. Bradley Harris has the latest.
There are lots of issues that Joe Biden expected to address in his race to remain as US president. His health wasn't one of them.
Can you still beat Trump?
There are people who think his head's in the clouds when speculation and concerns took off after stumbling through his first presidential debate with Donald Trump.
Everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare, and I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look.
In an age where everything is filmed and shared online, slip-ups and stumbles have cemented concerns about the US president's age and his ability to run for office.
I think the problem here is that you have an aging president who looks frail, who seems not to be able to put sentences together, who is constantly losing his train of thought. And so there is a real worry that not only can he, would he be unable to get through this campaign, but he might not be able to get through the next 4 years.
He managed to get through to an American TV show, though, as he fought for his political survival over the phone.
The bottom line here is that we're not going anywhere. I am not going anywhere.
And now Biden's using his own doctor's note to stamp out speculation. This letter insisting he's shown no symptoms of Parkinson's disease after reports claimed a specialist visited the president several times in the past year.
Has the president been treated for Parkinson's? No. Is he being treated for Parkinson's? No, he's not. Is he taking medication for Parkinson's? No.
Senior members of his Democratic Party have called for him to step aside. But whether Biden stays or goes, this election is bound to see plenty more fireworks. Bradley Harris, 5 News.
Well, stick with us. We're here till the end of the hour with plenty more to come, including why a leading cancer charity is calling on the new Labour government to push ahead with a Conservative plan. And the man behind this summer hit will be here to talk about his new chapter, quite literally, because he's written a book. Well, a quick look at the weather now. We'll see you shortly.
Of nature meets the power of science. Weather on Channel 5, sponsored by Sterimar Breathe Easy Daily Nasal Spray.
Rain pushes northwards overnight tonight into tomorrow. In fact, there's a rain warning for the northeast of Scotland, where the wet weather will stall through tomorrow. Expect some high rainfall totals. It's marching northwards all the while, with showers to follow across England and Wales through this evening and overnight. And some of these could actually be thundery. It's a muggy night here and a wet one for Northern Ireland with a bit of a breeze coming through from the north. Now look at these temperatures, 14 or 15 to start the day across England and Wales, and a few showery bits and pieces can't be ruled out. A lot of cloud and outbreaks of rain across Scotland and Northern Ireland, and we'll see some patchy rain and drizzle just move down across the Isle of Man towards West Wales. Through the afternoon, the risk of some showers, particularly across eastern counties. At least though here you'll see some sunshine, temperatures 21 to 23, but struggling under the cloud and the rain across the northeast. Now through Thursday, you can see where the rain is eastern Scotland, patchy rain and drizzle from northern England, the Midlands, East Anglia, as well as Wales. A better day all round for Northern Ireland and some brighter skies further south as well across central parts of England and Wales. It's a mix of clouds and sunshine on Thursday and still a little bit of patchy rain in the mix. And here's your outlook through Friday.
The power of nature meets the power of science. Weather on Channel 5, sponsored by Sterimar Breathe Easy Daily Nasal Spray. Be ready to go outdoors.
Some very wet weather continues tomorrow, particularly across northern and eastern areas of Scotland. A rain warning here and a driving wind. Showers elsewhere extending down towards Northern Ireland, Northern England, moving in across Wales. Some brighter skies for central southern England. Watch out for showers in the east.
The activities report with Go Outdoors. Discover freedom.
Well, the time's just gone 5:30. Here are the top 5 things you need to know today. First, this is 8-month-old Zach Blades. He was killed in a crash on the A1 along with his aunt, Carleen Warner. Today, Daryl Anderson, the driver who caused their deaths, was jailed for more than 17 years. He was drunk, speeding at more than 140 miles per hour and taking pictures of himself driving at the time. At 2, Prime Minister Keir Starmer and his deputy, Anjali Rayner, have met with Metro mayors from around the country. Parliament also returned today with Labour ministers on the government front bench for the first time in more than a decade. Next, rescuers in Ukraine are continuing to search through rubble after a children's hospital was hit by Russian missiles. The country's President Volodymyr Zelensky says at least 42 people have been killed and nearly 200 injured. And number 4, Thames Water has warned that it will run out of money by the end of next May. Britain's biggest water firm has a debt pile of more than £15 billion. And finally, long-term prisoners could be released after serving 2/3 of their sentence in a bid to ease pressure on Scotland's overcrowded jails. Now, cancers caused by smoking has reached an all-time high, with a staggering 6 people diagnosed every single hour. Cancer Research UK say they've seen a rise in throat, kidney and liver cancer, and that's despite smoking rates in the UK going down. Well, I'm joined now by Caris Betts from Cancer Research UK and Ambassador Gower Tan, who lost his father to lung cancer caused by smoking. Thank you very much to you both for coming in today. Caris, I mean, it's quite a confusing message, isn't it? Because the number of people smoking is coming down, yet the numbers with cancer are going up.
Yeah, you're right. I think at first glance it can be a bit confusing. So there's a couple of things kind of going on behind the scenes that are causing this. So like you said, smoking rates are coming down, but we're actually in a growing population. So even though that proportion is smaller, there's still 6.4 million people smoking in the UK. And also there's a lag time. So cancers take some time to develop. So that the cancers that we're seeing today actually reflect what the smoking rates were 10 or 15 years ago. They were higher then. They weren't coming down as smoothly as they are now. And they don't come down on their own. We really need action from the government. We need better control on tobacco and support for people to quit to really bring down those smoking rates and reduce cases of cancer.
And also today, we've heard that there is a first time a link between smoking and breast cancer, isn't there?
That's true. So it doesn't mean that the link is new in terms of it's never caused cancer before and it's just started causing breast cancer. But it's taken a long time for the science to build up and be sure. So science isn't always just a eureka moment. Sometimes it's lots of waiting around for enough data to come in. So it is relatively small as a risk, though. So 33,000 cancers are caused by smoking a year in the UK, of lung cancers, that is, sorry. And only 2,200 are breast cancers. So it's still a big number. You don't want to hear about thousands of people getting a cancer. You know, it just shows the importance. There's lots of types of cancer that smoking can cause, and it's just another reason to not to smoke, to stop smoking, and for the government to really commit and reintroduce the tobacco and vapes bill.
Well, Gower, you were a smoker for many years, weren't you? You managed to give up, but you've seen firsthand the impact that cancer can have because your dad died of lung cancer.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, Dad, he was a lifelong smoker, and he died aged 66. And yes, myself, when my father died, I was smoking at the time and felt horrifically guilty. My daughter was just born, she was 1. And I'd been smoking myself from the age of 13 and desperately trying to quit. It's incredibly difficult to quit, and watch my father die as a result.
It must have been incredibly difficult to see that.
Yes, yeah, horrific. I felt so guilty and was concerned that my daughter would see the same thing again, you know, years later. But fortunately, I did manage to quit. I went to a quit clinic. And quit, and have been campaigning to, amongst other things, see tobacco controls introduced and end the harms that are caused by the uniquely lethal product that tobacco is.
Caris, I'm going to come back. You're calling on the new government now, aren't you, to step in and do something. Just explain exactly what you'd like them to do.
Yeah, it's a really pivotal moment, and they could be world leaders in this space of tobacco control. We're calling them to reintroduce the tobacco and vapes bill, which includes increasing the age of sale of tobacco. That will prevent future generations from starting smoking and kind of protecting them from those harms that Gower was described. And also funding stop smoking services. Like Gower mentioned, it was going to one of those quit services and getting that support that helped him. So making sure those are well funded to help people stop for good.
And that, of course, is the other side of this, isn't it? This supporting people. Gower, just very briefly, you successfully gave up smoking. You've talked about just the challenges, really, that caused you. What would you say to someone who's sitting there tonight who's thinking, oh, I really want to give up, but I think it's just going to be too difficult?
Well, the very first thing that I'd say is never stop trying. I tried numerous times, and the best thing is to seek professional guidance, and those quit clinics and products which are available today, some new ones which weren't available when I quit, and keep trying because the difference it's going to make is worth the continued effort.
So keep at it.
Yeah.
Lovely. Well, thank you very much for both joining us tonight to talk about this.
Thanks for having us on.
OK, well, we're going to take a short break now, but in a few minutes, what would you do if you saw this? A runaway boat, where we'll tell you how one teenager saved the day and... Move over James Bond. Dame Shirley Bassey has an appointment with the King.
Indoor drying making your clothes smell musty? Ugh. Bust the muss with Lenore Outdoorable. And unleash the sunshine freshness of drying outdoors on your clothes. Whoa, it's like your nose is being hugged by spring itself.
What the?
Fresh. Lenore Outdoorable. Fresh, as if dried outside.
Allianz Car and Home Insurance. Get your quote today at allianz.co.uk.
Fast just got better. New Persil Wonder Wash. Our first ever detergent designed for shorter cycle. Better on odor, better on fragrance. New Persil Wonder Wash. Fast just got better.
Nothing satisfies more than a Snickers ice cream.
Same old cleanser. New Nivea Micellar Water Skin Glow. Not only easily removes makeup, but also the serum-infused formula with vitamin C and E significantly improves your skin glow. Make the switch to new Nivea serum-infused Micellar Water Skin Glow. Skin is for unleashing your glow. Nivea is for skin.
Vitality rewards you for getting active, with up to 2 months cashback on your premiums. Woohoo! Move forward with Vitality.
Lenore Unstoppables. There it is, the whoosh of freshness. Just chuck those little scent boosters into every wash for a whoosh of fresh that lasts and lasts. Mmm, what a whoosh. And those socks, yes, still whooshingly fresh. Even at the end of the day, they're still enjoying that fresh whoosh. Lenore Unstoppables, the non-stop whoosh of fresh.
Cadbury ice cream, guaranteed not to last.
This is where you slept?
Yeah, it's a matter of thing. At times that was my home.
What happened next for you?
Met with Change Please, trained me up to be a barista, helped me get back on my feet. I wouldn't be who I am today if it wasn't for Change Please.
What was your health like when you was homeless?
It wasn't too good, man. At one point I got tooth infection.
Tell me a bit about this bus.
It's a partnership between Colgate and Change Please. They offer dental services to people that are homeless. It's a small step that's going to help us all smile again.
Oh, check you out being all healthy.
So scandalous. Show me what you got.
Brian.
Muller Light. Get the good going.
Welcome to Highgrove House, King Charles's most personal residence.
It was the first home that he could call his own.
The house is very elegant inside. Diana wanted to make it cosy, light, airy.
It's an idyllic, amazing place.
Discover Highgrove House, a royal residence, Saturday at 7:30 on Channel 5 and My5.
Hello again. Now it's that time of the programme when we take you round the world in 3 stories. First, let's take you to the USA, and we've mentioned Hurricane Beryl before, haven't we? Well, this is what Houston in the state of Texas looked like after the powerful storm hit. It had already left a path of destruction through the Caribbean and Mexico. At least 4 people were killed, roads and homes flooded, and more than 2 million people were left without power. Next, to Albania, and there are huge wildfires in the south of the country. Firefighters and military personnel are working round the clock to try to extinguish the blaze, with helicopters pouring water on the area. And we're heading back to the US now, and this time to the state of New Hampshire. And take a look at this. Now that's a runaway boat. The amazing footage was captured by Rich Bono, who later found out that the captain had ended up overboard. Thankfully, no one was injured, and you can just make out it was brought back to safety by a teenager named Brady, who jumped aboard. Top work, Brady. Now, she's a musical legend who has already been made a dame. Shirley Bassey has now joined an even more exclusive club, the Order of the Companions of Honour, after a glittering 70-year career. Now, it only has 65 members, including Judi Dench, David Attenborough, Maggie Smith and Ian McClellan. And Simon Vigar got to meet the woman herself at Windsor Castle.
To be a member, Dame Shirley Bassey for services to music.
Companions of Honour are a very rare breed, but of course Dame Shirley Bassey is a rare talent. Today presented with her honour by the King.
I don't know, I thought the damehood was enough, you know, and that would be it. But when they came and said, I've got Companion of Honour, I've been nominated, I thought, well, what do I do? A companion to whom? Who am I going to be a companion to?
Well, it's a very select club. You're in there with Sir Paul McCartney, Dame Judi Dench.
Great, yeah. Wonderful. I am very honoured, and I don't know who put me up for it, but whoever you are, thank you very much.
Dame Shirley's greatest hits are the soundtrack to our lives, featuring the greatest Bond themes of all time. She has been a national treasure for decades, by royal command. I've seen lots of lovely archive of you with the late Queen, so I have to ask you, what does it mean for you to be here today?
Oh, a lot. It brings back memories, and a little sad, you know, because I met the Queen so many times, but it was wonderful meeting the King because I met him when he was Prince Charles.
So what did you talk about in your time with the King today?
I'm not talking. My lips are sealed.
Dame Shirley is 87 years old now. She grew up around Cardiff docks and needed every ounce of dedication to make it big. Not bad for a girl from Tiger Bay.
Exactly. Yeah, very good.
Can you take it all in, looking back at your amazing career?
Not really, no. It's amazing because nobody ever thought. Every time I sang, I was told to shut up, you know. And it's a wonder that I ever did get to become a singer, because even my choir teacher at school kept saying I was too loud and to go back and then go back again and go till I was out in the hall. But I still kept singing.
Well, there's a lesson there for all little girls, isn't
Yeah.
it? To keep following your dreams.
Keep singing, yeah.
Follow your dreams.
Follow your dreams, yeah.
Follow your dreams. You never know where you'll end up. Dame Shirley, Companion of Honour, living legend of Wales, 24-carat British diamond. Simon Viger, 5 News at Windsor Castle.
Now we have a mysterious guest joining us now in the studio. Here's a hint.
Mysterious girl, I wanna get close to you.
Well, no prizes for guessing. It's Peter Andre. And Peter, thank you for joining us today, because you're here in the studio. Normally we're talking to you about music, but today we're talking to you about something completely different, aren't you? Your children's book.
I am, and I am going to say, I mean, who wears jeans in a waterfall, really? I mean, who does that? I did it. I had no idea at the time that it was gonna haunt me forever, and I'm proud to talk about it, really. But jeans in a waterfall, it's something new, isn't it?
It's something new, not to be tried by everyone.
No,
but
don't
you've got
try
away
it at
with
home,
I think.
please. Yeah, I'm here today because my second children's book is out. And honestly, it's so great to be able to have a book that I've written for my kids, and I've written it with them. So as they've grown up, these are stories that I created with them, and it's all interplanetary and all about space exploration and baby aliens. And this one's about a baby alien rescue, which the kids absolutely love, that you can see on the screen there. It's honestly so much fun. And we're out promoting it today because, well, any kids that are into space exploration, they'll love it.
It looks like it's fantastically illustrated as well from the front cover.
Fantastic illustrator. And it's funny because when I was asked to do, say, 1,000 words, I would come back with 4,000 or 5,000 words, and then I'd have to cut it back for the illustrations to be able to tell some of the story. And I totally get it. When you get the illustrations back, you're like, wow, that's incredible.
Was it how you imagined it? Because I'm sure in your mind, when you're writing something, you imagine it to be a certain way, and then you see these pictures and it brings it to life.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, you know, to be able to get an illustrator that could really bring to life what you're saying is very difficult to do. I remember the first book, no one's ever seen pictures of my 2 youngest, Millie and Theo. But in the first book, I remember that we got the images back and I went, how do you know what my kids... How did they know? Like, they just somehow got it right. Really, really wonderful illustration. In fact, I, give so much credit to that in the book.
So in your latest book,
yep,
the 2 characters are Millie and Theo,
yes,
aren't they? And what do they think about being featured in your book? It must be a strange thing for them.
It is, because when they go to school, and they're so happy, they're so happy that their headmaster has allowed, the teachers have read these books out and the kids love them. And the thing is, when Millie and Theo were chosen as the names for the book, because that's what I created them as, I did ask the publishing company, should we change the names? And they said no, because symbolically, really, it represents everyone's kids, Everyone's got a Millie and Theo. Everyone's got a Millie and a Theo, or both. And all our kids are superheroes in some way, so it's just a great fun book for them. It really is.
And a book for adults to read to children too, presumably.
Absolutely, and because I come from a generation of Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Gremlins, E.T., loved those 80s films. For me, it's like I'm able to sort of use some of that imagination that I was captured by in those days and be able to write stories that kind of, I hope I can tap into some of those you know, beautiful, imaginative thoughts, really.
And there's lots of different themes in the book, aren't there? Themes about friendship,
Yeah.
teamwork, resilience, all really important things for children to be able to acknowledge and understand, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really important that when you know, doing books like this, it's great to have an imagination, but it's also very important to have, you know, very good key undertones in there that are teaching as well. So it's educational for kids as well, not just them going off on some fairy tale. The first book was a very simple thing about love and how love can change even the whole colour of a planet, but you have to read it to understand why we get to that point. And each book has something, like you said in this one, teamwork, very important, family, how important that is. So it's trying to give those kind of moral undertones, you know, throughout the books.
And just really briefly, we're talking to you about books, not about music. What was it that made you want to write a children's book in the first place? It's a slight U-turn, isn't it, on what you've been doing?
Yeah, what I often say to people, when I was growing up, we were in a very strict religious background, so we didn't read a lot of outside books. A lot of our books that we read were Bible or biblical style books. So what we then, biblical-based books, sorry.
Yeah.
So when it came to me reading for my children, I wasn't used to it. So instead of getting a book that was known, I would just create stories.
So it's from that very early stages?
Ever since I've had children.
Well, that sounds amazing. Thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you.
Well, that's it from us. We'll be here with updates throughout the evening. The first one's in an hour. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
The power of